So you were saying that it helped you with anxiety even, and what was it? What were the symptom
Uh,
improvements that you noticed?
yeah, because I was stressed out about a lot of things like financial stuff that I have going on, uh, um, and just kind of like being a little bit overwhelmed with some various personal things that that I was handling the last couple of months. And I mean, I have pretty good health practices, and um, always try to stay physically fit and eat the right things and things of that nature. And I'm not on any kind of supplements. I'm not on any type of pharmaceutical drugs whatsoever. Uh, but my girlfriend, she has a lot of anxiety and pain and stuff like that from lupus. And so when she started doing this, like things started turning around for her. As soon as I started using the belt and her too, both of our anxiety levels came down a lot, a lot. And for me, I was using that face mask and I was seeing like visual differences like right away. And so just to run through the results real quick without trying to drag this out. I had like a little tiny sore next to my nose that it would come and go all the time. It would almost go away, and then maybe I'll go out one weekend with my buddies and have a couple of beers, and then it would come back. So I'm no angel, and so I just had this little like pimple all the time that never really went all the way away. And once I started using the mask, man, it just killed it. It annihilated it. It's gone completely. And then I had maybe like a light brown mark on my forehead, and maybe a couple. I know I had maybe like one or two over here, like real light, but they're gone, man. I mean, those are gone, and I'm talking in 2 months. And the other thing is, as soon as I started putting the belt on, I would just wrap the belt around my rib cage. I was like, I'm not trying to get, a 6-pack abs or whatever. I just want to put this thing right on my liver and see if anything happens. And the very first time I did it, after I left her house, I came back home and I was just like, within about 30 minutes after doing it, about 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, I just felt like everything was great, man. Like, for no reason. I just felt really calm and this really awesome sense of well-being. And I was like, I'm going to work my problems out. I don't have to worry about my finances. I'm going to figure it out, like just feeling very confident. And I noticed it, and it happened every time I did it. So now I'm just using the stuff all the time, and it's just adding something really good, something really positive.
Wow, that is so inspiring. Thank you, Robert. What a blessing. And so this was like a lot of your benefits came from just using this simple, pretty like arguably cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean, it didn't cost a lot, but I mean, obviously it's quality, but this cost effective, affordable belt. Like it sounds like a lot of this you were doing with the belt. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was using first I started using the face mask. She was like, you got to try this. You got to try this, because it took 10 years off of her face. It took all of her inflammation away, and she had gone through some serious surgeries. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's just been plagued with like ailments, and she fights through it, but it's been difficult. So as soon as she got the mask, it made a difference on her. So I started using the mask, and then next thing you know, I was using the mask and the belt at the same time, which I thought was like the next best thing. If you don't have a panel, start trying to start trying to use them together, and it was It's been great. And the other thing is, I'll tell you something else I forgot to add in there. So just from using the face mask, I have an impacted wisdom tooth. I never got, all my wisdom teeth were impacted, and I never got them taken out. I'm 50 years old now. And one of them still bothers me, man. It's just, it tries to come in. And one of my best friends is a dentist, and he's like, they don't come in at your age. I'm like, listen, man, this thing is still trying to come in every once in a while. It just does. It seems like the more I work out in the gym is when it starts trying to grow back in. So, and it's painful, and it causes a minor infection in my right ear because it's on the lower right jaw. And it's just something I have to deal with. And from using that mask, I feel like it's been healing it. It's still there, but it's almost gone. And nothing else ever did that. I almost had I had a little bit of tinnitus in my right ear too, and it's all from that wisdom tooth. And it's not throbbing anymore. It's not trying to come in, and my ear just keeps feeling better. And it's another one of those little weird things that's been happening. And like I said, I got 2 months in of using a face mask and the belt, you know. And if it wasn't for me getting the panel, I was about to take. It's funny. I was like, I'm going to take this damn belt and I'm going to put it around my head, my jaw, and my ear, because I think that something's going on with this wisdom tooth and stuff. I think it's helping it.
It takes a lot of courage to go through what we've been through.
The doctors themselves are coming more and more because they say, hey, I'm not the same.
I laid in bed for 6 months with this raging pain.
One of the things that we have to have the courage to do is to act upon the information we have in front of us.
And what's the success of some of these therapies? What are you seeing as the results?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a great deal of promise.
So we need this solution because it will create a cancer from here to 2030.
Hi, it's Jonathan Otto, and welcome to episode 3 of Healing Revolution. Sick by Design: Is Chronic Inflammation a Modern Scam? Modern medicine has made us believe that chronic inflammation is part of aging or a normal phenomenon caused by having bad genes. We've also been taught that when the body is chronically inflamed, pharmaceuticals are your only option or solution. They prescribe NSAIDs and steroids and immunosuppressants. Little do you know that you'll be taking them for the rest of your life. But are these drugs really the solution? The reality is that when we look at the bigger picture, chronic inflammation is a modern scam, another gold mine for Big Pharma. Every pill prescribed to you can only manage the symptoms, but it eventually holds you hostage in a cycle of dependency. Soon your dosage and number of pharmaceuticals will increase. The worst part? Taking these drugs for months or years is toxic for your body. Eventually, new health conditions will take hold and the vicious cycle endlessly repeats itself. You don't need prescription drugs to escape from chronic inflammation. It's Big Pharma's scam. In fact, if you look at the study titled "Anti-Inflammatory Drugs Could Cause Chronic Pain," the researchers found that anti-inflammatory drugs such as steroids or NSAIDs are doing more harm than good in the long term. And the reason for this is simple. Inflammation is the body's natural way of healing injuries and infections. By blocking this process too aggressively, these drugs are interfering with natural healing and leading to chronic inflammation instead of solving it. Starting this episode is Andrea Caprio, a transformational nutritional coach who discovered firsthand how food can either heal or destroy your body. For years, she struggled with migraines, hormonal imbalances, fibroids, gut issues, and constant fatigue. Like so many others, she thought these symptoms were just part of life until she made one simple change, a detox, and that's when everything started to shift. Her migraines nearly disappeared, her hormones were balanced, her energy skyrocketed, and most importantly, she realized that chronic illness isn't random. It's fueled by what we put into our bodies. Today, Andrea exposes the shocking differences between our American food and what's available in other countries, and why so many people in the United States are trapped in a system designed to keep them sick.
Welcome to everybody. I'm Andrea Caprio. I am a master certified transformational nutrition coach, and I came actually into that field through my own health journey. I specialize in helping women and men as well to overcome emotional eating, lose weight, and keep it off, and with that, improve chronic illnesses or conditions as well. So I basically, through my own health journey, I realized I've been eating too much sugar, and I started to see various health concerns in my own life. So, for example, I had weekly migraines, I had hormonal issues, fibroids, I had gut issues, like constant bloating. I was always tired. I had no energy. I had some weight issues as well, etc., etc. And over the time, I realized, oh, there might be something to it. And I was always very stressed, had a very busy lifestyle. And eventually, one day, I came across a really healthy way of eating through a detox. It started off actually with a detox. And when I went into that, I realized, oh, suddenly everything improved. Obviously, not everything at the same time, but gradually, instead of weekly migraines, I have now maybe 3-4 times a year only. I never had any hormonal issues or fibroids, even going later on through menopause. I had no or almost no menopausal symptoms. My weight is very stable. I really feel great. I have a super energy and no bloating anymore. My skin is great. So I feel really great. And that's basically when I decided I want to help other people achieve similar results. I am German. However, I work a lot with the American or North American people actually as my clients. And because of that background, I have looked a lot into how nutrition affects our health, right? It's interestingly at the time when I got into all this, I actually had moved to Miami, and seeing how the American diet there was really something that initially almost shocked me. I saw a really unhealthy living. I have traveled my whole life, lived in many, many different countries, so I have been exposed to many different diets, cultures, style of eating, lifestyles as well, which I believe is an important role. And I saw really living in the US and Florida, how it is different from, let's say, Europe. I now live in Italy, so I see again, the Mediterranean diet coming into that and all comparing it. So I saw there are a lot of differences. So if I look at many people, I don't want to say everybody, of course it's not everybody, but the majority of people in the North American area, the food is in general very processed. Even if you look at sometimes the same foods, let's say for argument's sake ketchup, not that I would recommend it, but if you look at the food label of ketchup in America versus UK or Europe, the ingredient list in the US is probably that long, and in Europe it's about that long, right? It's still, I would not recommend ketchup, but I just wanted to give this a little bit for perspective. So the issue is that very often when we look at chronic disease, that is obesity, that can be diseases like diabetes, heart conditions, cancer, they are very often based on inflammation, other issues as well, but very often come from an unbalanced and unhealthy way of eating. In terms of pro-inflammatory, it stands in advance or on the top of the list basically stands processed foods, right? These are foods that are poor on nutrients or sometimes even void of nutrients, and that are very high in either sugar, in additives, very often also come from a poor origin, such as GMO, genetic modified foods that are included in there. So when we look at these different things together, they affect our health, right? So, for example, to give you an idea, to make it, I like always to make it very practical, but if you look at our organism, when we eat processed food, fast food, highly processed foods, that's void of nutrients, so there is either no fiber or very little fiber, where there's no or almost no vitamins and minerals, and where there is an unhealthy relationship of the different macros, such as protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and also where things are used such as highly processed fats, for example, and so on. When we look at this, the body gets those nutrients in, right? We ingest it, right? First of all, the body cannot always absorb it and cannot take out the nutrients it needs. And simply what happens, besides all the damage that happens, for example, in your gut issue, through the additives that can be, through the pesticides that can be in there and so on, but simply from that fact is that the gut will send a signal to our brain saying, I need more nutrients, meaning I need more vitamins, I need more minerals. The brain very often then understands, actually, I need more food. And that leads that then we eat more, right? Because the brain says, oh, we need more food, so let's eat more. So we continue eating this poor food, basically, right? And eat more and more and more. And that, of course, leads then to more obesity or weight gain and eventually to obesity, which further decreases the chances actually of becoming healthy. So that is one of the fundamental things that I think very often are forgotten. I mean, it is, of course, very important that our food is so-called healthy, and I will go a little bit more into detail about that, what that means. But it's really just to understand that very often if we eat a poor quality of food, our body simply cannot get the nutrients it needs to function, right? Literally to function. And that will send then the signals to our brain. And that leads then to this whole vicious cycle. And very often, I work a lot in emotional eating, can then, of course, set off a whole roller coaster of emotional eating signals. Chronic diseases are very often fueled by obesity. It can, of course, also be fueled by other things such as trauma, emotional health, and so on. But to understand that the food we are ingesting is contributing. So, for example, when we look at, for example, cancer, obesity can very often influence the cancer risk through the mechanism, like, for example, high blood sugar or chronic inflammation, right? So from there, we can get basically from the obesity that can lead to other chronic illnesses such as cancer, type 2 diabetes, heart issues. Now, the impact on obesity from a food point of view is that, for example, pesticides affect our organism where it affects it at cell level, right? Already at cell level, we are affected. And like this, it is very difficult for our body to function normally and to use the food again and the components of food in a healthy way, because basically your gut health is affected through that. And for example, when your gut lining is affected through the use of pesticides, through the use of additives in your food, through maybe environmental toxins as well that can also filter in, through the poor choice of components of food like fat, for example, sugar, and so on. Basically, all that affects our gut health. And that then leads to a whole explosion almost, I would say, of a chain activities of unhealthy cells, which then lead to inflammation, right? Because in the end, if our body cannot deal with those toxins in a healthy manner through the digestive system, get rid. I mean, we always have toxins, right? I mean, we can almost not live without toxins today anymore. It's just in our life. But if we have too many, then, for example, our liver cannot anymore filter those toxins. So eventually, they then end up in the cells, and that leads then to high inflammation that then can lead to chronic disease.
Up next, we have Dr. Brian Ardis back to uncover the most underutilized healing tools in modern health, red light therapy. For years, he's been researching natural ways to activate the body's own ability to heal, and what he's found is stunning. Light has the power to reduce inflammation, support thyroid health, boost immune function, and even help regenerate damaged tissue. Instead of relying on toxic drugs or endless supplements, Dr. Ardis explains how simple light wavelengths can repair mitochondria, address the symptoms of chronic diseases, and speed up recovery from conditions like Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, and joint injuries. The science is there, the results are undeniable, and what Dr. Ardis reveals just might change the way you see light and your health forever. Up next, we have Dr. George Yarkos, an integrative cardiologist who spent over 30 years treating heart disease, but what he's seeing now is unlike anything before. Chronic inflammation is at an all-time high, fueling everything from heart issues to autoimmune disorders. But instead of addressing the root cause, mainstream medicine continues to push pharmaceuticals that do nothing to fix the underlying problem. Dr. Yaikos breaks down how toxins, poor diet, and environmental stresses are quietly damaging your body, leading to heart attacks, blood clotting issues, and long-term cardiovascular damage. He also exposes the hidden dangers of seed oils and the food industry's role in driving systemic inflammation. If you've ever been told that heart disease is just about cholesterol and genetics, you're definitely going to want to hear what Dr. Yaikos has to say. Hey guys, we're having an absolutely incredible response to Healing Revolution. I am having a thrill of a time actually sharing this with you. This is so exciting. The transformations are nothing short of spectacular. You're seeing them live time, and I am just loving watching these episodes, even though I was part of the team, of course, creating it. It's more than me. We got some amazing people working on this, but it's really just these stories that are touching my heart so much, of all the transformations, all the people that have got their hope back, their life back. These are important, special people that are gifts to the world, and they're children of God, made in God's image. When you see somebody that gets their life back, celebrate, rejoice. That's it. That is a time for so much, celebration, really. And so I just celebrate, and I find myself just kind of pinching myself that I get to experience this and get to be a part of these transformations. It's been an incredible time. I've been giving you guys this update on this particular case that I've been going through, like right now, where somebody was looking like they weren't going to make it another few minutes or hours. There's some stabilization, which is amazing. This is stage 4 cancer, and it's ovarian and liver metastasis and lots of other things, and fainting and seizures and hallucinations and things that are lots of obstructions. So not even the ability to consume, hydration issues, so many different things that then make it hard to even do all these other treatments. Hence why everyone's given up, except for, of course, yours truly and some other amazing people. There is an amazing doctor or expert that's involved in this particular case. It turned out when I chatted with her last night, she had been following my work for over 5 years. She has all my documentary series. So it was a really rewarding moment when somebody had just reached out, didn't know these people, and they didn't follow my work. And so the fact that I had somebody on the inside that could implement the things that we've been teaching and had that knowledge and education because of the work I'd been putting out there was truly rewarding. And this is a very high net worth individual. Not that changes anything, but it's somebody that has every resource at their fingertips, but they hadn't been able to solve this problem because they didn't have the unique tools that you are having access to right now as we speak. So do not take this for granted. There is something truly special about what we have here with Healing Revolution. And I just wanted to be really quick here and share with you a couple of really key things for you to be aware of with the amazing screening that we're having. So you're getting all the episodes to watch for this free screening for 24 hours each, but we're inviting you to own them by making a purchase here on this page by scrolling down. And when you do that, we're giving you so many wonderful, amazing gifts. And so we have an 8 supplement protocol, which is a $400+ value, and the formulas are designed to help you detox in all different areas. And if you look at people like Natalia Voloshin, we've shared her story several times, you might be familiar with it, but she'd gone through a lot of different issues, similar to a story that we just released in our last episode on vasculitis. She was going through that and 3 other autoimmune conditions, and it was purely our supplements that she used, and that's how she got off the chemo and steroids. Even though it wasn't cancer, they're giving this to stop the leg amputation that they were going to have to do. Anyway, she recovered to total health. And it was through our supplements that she herself denoted it down to, that this was the pivotal factor for her. Since then, we discovered a lot around red light therapy. This was about 6 years ago, and there's a lot more research that's been uncovered in the last few years. Nevertheless, I mean, look, this is an age-old therapy when it comes to red light therapy, but for any cases where we wouldn't see the complete transformation that we needed, we found that with tools like red light therapy, with chlorine dioxide, there was really nothing that we couldn't fix. And so what we did with this program was to help you to get all the tools that you needed and to have formulas that react specifically to certain wavelengths of light therapies, red light and near infrared. And so what we have here as well, this amazing free gift that you're getting when you place your order today, and remember, stocks are limited on this, but it's available, it's here on the page, so wouldn't be telling you about it if it wasn't. And so now I'm going to change the intensity here. There we go. I'm putting it on the highest setting. Now I have the ability to strap this wherever I like, and I can be getting red light therapy even while I'm recording this video. I could have this on right now and you would know that I'm getting red light therapy. And so it's so easy to do. And remember, this is systemic. It will go throughout the body. That's the power and the beauty of red light therapy. It will travel throughout the body. And remember, it works so well with anti-parasite cleanses. We actually even just had a case study where somebody had passed parasites just by using the red light. And if you look at the studies, put into Google, red light therapy and anti-parasite cleansing, it works in and of itself as an anti-parasitic regime, let alone when it's combined, which is much, much more effective. And there's fantastic studies on this. And we have such a wonderful formulas with like the Para-Free Detox. And so you're getting 2 bottles of Para-Free Detox, Gut Flora Pro, 15-day cleanse, kidney support, gut repair 360, gut cleanse and liver support, and nattokinase, which is an enzyme. You're getting the Red Life Red and near infrared healing belt. It's a targeted light therapy to soothe pain, recharge energy, and accelerate healing. And so it's going to help you with your mitochondrial health for all your organs. We're having people put this over their liver, over their kidneys, over their heart, over their thyroid. It's really that versatile, and you have so many mitochondria over the cerebellum. So it's not like a hat that's designed for the head, like what I have over here in the corner, which is an example. But what you can do with this is it gives you that versatility. It's the one thing that you can use anywhere. So you can absolutely put it around your head or around your face. It's not designed for that, but you can absolutely do that because it's just simply about getting red light to the areas of the body that are most needed. And because it is LED, the irradiance is so strong and so powerful. And it's non-toxic, which is awesome. So 0 EMF. So guys, there's amazing master classes. You can read all about them. There's an amazing mini series, and there's so much more. There's a one-on-one consultation with a health expert. We've got the full-length interviews. We've got the printed book. We've got the flash drive or USB drive with all the content on it and all the online access as well. It's all there for you, the 10-day Healing Revolution Challenge, and so much more. It's available. Make sure to make your order here on this page while it's available. I look forward to seeing you inside of this amazing program. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for who you are and all you do. Make sure to place your order while it's available, while we have everything, which we do right now. And so I just want to make sure you're very aware of that. We've got hundreds of thousands of people that are invited to watch this, and we're seeing such a response, and people are so excited about this unique offering that we have. That red light therapy belt is a $400 value. It's an amazing free gift that we're giving to you and your loved ones. So claim it, let others know about this. It's a unique opportunity and one that we don't plan to offer again. So grab it here on this page, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. And remember, this is only available during this free screening and as stocks last. So thanks so much. So now this study here on, and you'll see this interesting link between these. So these are the studies I mentioned. I've shared this with you in the past, and I'd like to see what you think. So
Isn't Google AI amazing, Jonathan?
it is actually. I'm glad you're saying that. It is. No, you like it or
Isn't
you
it
don't like it?
amazing?
I like it.
They can just give you all kinds of summaries from pooled research studies all over the world in seconds.
Yes, exactly. It's so helpful. I mean, look at the mechanism here. And so mitochondrial function is getting interfered with venom, and here's why this is working for venomous bites, particularly those from snakes. Same principle though for any venom. It's increasing mitochondrial activity, the powerhouses of the cells. They can enhance cell repair and regeneration, reduces inflammation, improves circulation, stimulates collagen production, reduces pain. Research indicates it can reduce edema, swelling, inflammation, and pain associated with snake venom. And these snakes, like this study from the Bothrops asper snake injection, it's venom injection. It's using the LEDs and it's countering it. It's found to be effective. 62 out of 62. And with together, acute symptomatic recovery from, see how long the sessions are. 2 64 to 84 minute photobiomodulation sessions occurred within how long, Dr. Ardis? 3 days for 62 out of 62 patients. But that's not complete recovery. Now here's complete recovery. Full recovery occurred within 4 sessions for all photobiomodulation patients. All but 2 cases resolved within 1 week. then the other ones get better the following week. Prophylactic benefits were recorded in 17 out of 17 asymptomatic to mild patients exposed to viral shedding of infected family members. So there's the protection from shedding. Now, here's the specific breakdown of the categories. Outcomes include total resolution of dysapnea, ability to maintain SpO2 above 97% without oxygen supplementation, relief from digestive distress, elimination of brain fog, improved memory recall, restored executive function, and symptomatically managing emotional deficits. And notice that this is total whole body PBM using, and it says specifically that it was LED pads. So it was, again, using this, and it was the LED pads demonstrated the favorable outcomes.
So that is, I think, very exciting. I mean, I don't know who can argue with 100% resolution of symptoms in 100% of all people. It's amazing. In less than a week. You know what that reads identical to? Remember the nicotine patch study? 6 days of patches, 100% cure rate. It's amazing.
Wow.
So imagine if it's just used nicotine and light therapy. I hope all of these groups of medical professionals around the world trying to save the lives of people and improve their lives, I hope they're watching and reading the research. Light works. Nicotine works. Take advantage. It's amazing. This is the power of light, everybody.
Yeah.
When you're wondering if light can actually impact your health and have the ability to change or alter your health of your physical human body, this is how I used to remind people about the benefits of PEMF or laser therapy or red light therapy. This is how I'd explain it to them, just so they could grasp the power of light. You know, lasers are light. It's only light, right? Just focused into a little bitty tight beam wavelength of light. And do you know they can use light to reverse your vision?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can shoot a laser through your pupil into your retina and actually change the rods and cones using lights in the back of your eyeballs. It's called LASIK surgery.
Yeah.
You all have already heard you can use light to change the function of the human body for the better or the worse. You've already seen light being used around the world to improve the vision of people all around the world. It can improve your immune system. It can help you beat disease. Light is incredible, and all of us need it.
Wow. Do you know that when they did, scientists put 3 minutes, eyes open in the morning, what the outcome was for the people versus the 17% after 3 minutes?
Hold up, what kind of light?
It was 670 nanometer light. So it's
for
red.
3 minutes, and they saw what change?
It was 17% improvement in color contrast vision for myopia. If you were over 40, if it was in the morning, if it was in the afternoon, it didn't work. So it's on circadian rhythm. So it needs to be kind of similar to as the sun rises. 17% in one. And then that treatment lasted a week. Like with the tinnitus cases, they had some cases where it was 100% resolution. The treatment lasted 3 months. And
with tinnitus?
Tinnitus, correct.
Wow.
I'll show you the studies. I love these.
I want to see them.
I did. I'm kind of obsessed, as you can see.
I want to see those studies.
Yes.
Jonathan Otto.
Yes. There's some really good ones. The Hashimoto studies are amazing because they do such a poor job of the study where they put them on for 3 weeks, twice a week, and then put it over their thyroid, just their thyroid, as if that's the only area. Like, what about the heart? What about the brain? Cerebellum has hundreds of thousands of mitochondria per cerebellum brain cell. And it's connected to the thyroid, and everything's connected, obviously, but particularly that connection. Anyway, so then they take them off it after putting them on it only twice a week for 3 weeks, then take them off it. Now, 3 months later, they test their antibody levels, and everything is revolutionized, even though, 3 months and then 6 months after, it was thyroid stimulating hormone levels were down, thyroid antibody levels were dramatically down, their need for levothyroxine was dramatically down, their ability to produce T4 was significantly up, and then all the downstream effects like hip to waist ratio was reduced, body mass index reduced, but what if they did it every day? And I've seen cases where people did it every day for a week and a half, 2.5 weeks, and they had Graves' disease and issues where they were bedridden, and the doctor said, you can't do anything, like you need to lay in bed. And she, 2.5 weeks, this one woman, Shannon, she's back and competing in a New York marathon. Her doctors, her jaws are on the floor because her markers are normalized. But remember, she was in front of one of our panels, but she's close to the thyroid, about 3 inches away, but then head to groin area. So hitting all your organs at the same time.
It is incredible. In fact, most people don't know the story, but when I married my wife, Jane, in 2014, 2 weeks later, I tore my ACL, MCL, and a meniscus in my knee. The surgeon that I had was great. He did the surgery and then told me, Jonathan, that I needed at least 3 to 6 weeks of PT therapy 2 weeks after the surgery. Well, during that 2-week interval, I actually did PEMF wraps around my knee. I did red light therapy and laser therapy on my knee. And when I went back for PT 2 weeks later, I only went for one PT session, went back for the second 2 days later, and I was released from care because I was 100% healed.
Wow.
That is the power of using energy and light to influence and enhance the speed at which your body heals.
Wow. Amazing.
I'm Dr. George Yakos. I've been a cardiologist for over 30 years. I am an integrative cardiologist, so I do incorporate therapies beyond what Big Pharma has to offer. People just don't understand that you're impacting your immune system, and with this new technology that's out there, you're impacting it with things that don't turn off. Can you imagine if you're constantly inflamed and your body's trying to fight it off and it's failing? What do you think is going to happen? Chronic autoimmune disease, clots, heart attacks, strokes, myocarditis, big one. So I have a lot of young patients that come in who have gotten various kinds of vaccines, and they have myocarditis. And this whole concept that you have some element of heart injury it's going to pass, it's not going to be a big deal, that is the biggest nonsense I've ever heard, because these people have chronic issues. They'll have electrical problems. They'll develop cardiomyopathy. They'll actually even get heart attacks because they're inflaming their tissues. And the whole time, no one's talking to them about what you can do beyond taking an antiviral medication. Focus on mitochondrial support and getting rid of the toxin. Those two things have to happen if you expect to lead a healthy life and recover from any insults that come your way. Is myocarditis any different now than it was decades ago? And the answer is a tremendous increase in myocarditis cases is present. It's been documented. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's real. Now, everybody's a little bit different, right? So if some people were not keeping themselves healthy prior to facing that insult that led to myocarditis, they're going to have a much more significant episode of myocarditis. They'll actually get sicker. And again, if people's mitochondrial function is at its best, you should be able to recover from a lot of things, or at least lessen the severity of whatever comes your way. That's the key. But the myocarditis that's present now is much more frequent, varying severities. And the truth is it may take decades before we see the real impact of this. So this could lead to many increases in how many people get defibrillators, many increases in how many people get pacemakers, many increases in people who need to get heart transplants. So it was a very lucrative thing for Big Pharma to do because it'll feed their future business. At least if you look at the proof, that seems to be more important to them than actually researching safety of something and making sure they're helping their population instead of just feeding their bottom line. Cortisol is the chronic fight or flight kind of hormone, right? There's the immediate fight or flight, which is epinephrine, norepinephrine, which comes from the adrenal medulla. And then from higher up, you have cortisol being produced by the adrenal gland. And in chronic states where you're under stress, fighting. So fighting, and I'm not even talking about physical fighting. I'm talking about even fighting amongst couples. If you're somebody that likes to practice long distance running as part of their exercise, these are states that are inducing cortisol to be produced as a way to help with recovery, as a way to raise your sugar levels, this way you have that energy you need for these kinds of stressful events. But as we know, if this is being done in an excessive manner, there's an impact to it. So I think cortisol A lot of it can be managed. There are supplements that will sort of modulate your cortisol production, but it plays a big role. And the way it plays another big role is that without normal cortisol levels, you're going to have a hard time making even thyroid hormones operate appropriately, even when they're at the right level. Same thing with the sex hormones. So all of these hormones intercommunicate and need each other. And so just to bring up a point, I just remembered something else. The bioidentical hormones and the synthetic hormones are different. Why would that be? And it turns out that synthetic hormones have about a 6 or 7% homology. That means that if you look at the hormone of a person and then you look at the synthetic hormone, they only look about 7% the same from a chemical perspective. So why is it that it's able to work? Well, it turns out the key is able to go into the receptor, but the little thing that you turn the key with looks different, and your body sees something different. So that is the going hypothesis right now about why it causes so many problems to have synthetic hormones in your system, because your body's reacting to a foreign substance. Whereas bioidentical hormone therapy is about 96 to 97% homology. That's pretty impressive. And your body feels it's its own. And I think that's a lot of why we have that safety buffer with bioidentical hormones. All the mechanisms behind why cortisol is problematic in very high levels and at very low levels, right? But both of them can be a problem. People have heard of adrenal fatigue, which is supposed to be the adrenal gland and not adrenaline itself. And people have talked about just adrenal toxicity, just having very high levels of cortisol being produced. So you can literally be in a very high stress state, and it will impact your blood pressure. It will impact how your blood vessels are behaving. And because it's also impacting all these other substances that go into normal mitochondrial function, cortisol impacts mitochondrial function. So if you're impacting your healing mechanisms, you're going to have problems. So the typical behaviors that will actually improve your cortisol levels from a non-supplement perspective, such as healing, prayer, stretching, these things are very important. And you also need to work on not creating strife in your life, making sure that you try to settle problems, because I think most people understand that there's a lot of stress that's created when problems are not faced head on in the household. And a lot of times that makes people just build even more angst in their system and boosts more cortisol levels. But cortisol has an impact on all of these other things. So the brain and the adrenal gland, the brain and all your other hormones are very well connected. So when your brain is dealing with stress, it's impacting the signals that it sends to these organs to produce these hormones, which you need for healing and recovery. So all of this is intimately connected. From a heart perspective, there are some very classic things that I'm telling people to do that are simple measures, but can make a really big impact. So one is fixing your health and fixing your diet starts in your kitchen. At least it should. Eating out is definitely going to work against you in the long term. But the whole concept of plant oils, seed oils, and food preparation, the amount of inflammatory burden that creates is tremendous. And, you know, we've had campaigns telling us to use Wesson oil and all these other seed oils for years. Again, part of that food pyramid issue that was occurring years ago. And these things are extremely inflammatory. So I will tell my cardiac patients that they can use avocado oil, they can use coconut oil, which is very heat resistant and does not become toxic to the bloodstream. Olive oil is wonderful when it's eaten raw. However, you cannot burn olive oil. So if you are going to be using it in the cooking process, if it smokes, it's not good for you. So you want olive oil to be raw or at most a little warm with a saute. I want people to enjoy when they're having their meals, but they have to understand that if you're constantly throwing a meal load into your intestines, which again, every time that happens, you're setting up a cycle of inflammation and insulin jumps. So those very frequent meals are working against what we're talking about here in terms of allowing for recovery. And that's the rationale behind intermittent fasting and why it helps to heal people, because you're reducing the inflammatory load. And on top of that, you're stimulating mitochondrial biogenesis. Your mitochondria are getting more in number, and you're boosting their strength. There's a lot of nutrients that come out of our organic vegetables, greens, colorful vegetable seeds. And I think that's got to be a big staple in that meal. How are you going to have that meal? Whether it's going to be once a day or twice a day, you should try to incorporate high density nutrition, which comes with color. So if it's organic and it's colorful, I think you should be having it, because there are a lot of things in there that are going to benefit your health. Rich, colorful, vegetable, leafy, those kinds of things are important. And I think it's also important that, as much as I'm pushing intermittent fasting, that you should have a holiday maybe for 24 hours out of the week. And that's because you can overdo it and not have enough of the bad stuff for your mitochondria to work on after a while. So I think a cheat day is not a bad thing, but you want, on average, to be in a state where you're not causing a lot of inflammation, and this way your body is working with you to keep you healthy.
I've been using MMS pretty intensely on myself for about a year. I wanted to do a kind of a full body cleanse. Started with Protocol 1000, later added DMSO 1000 plus. Did baths, douches, enemas, and passed a lot of parasites. That's been kind of ongoing for quite some time, but I find it to be very effective. It's more effective than the pharmaceutical drugs that I took at first. Didn't have any symptoms that I had parasites, and tested negative for them. So many say that more people have them than think they do. So that's been good. And through that, I've always been fairly healthy, but everybody gets colds and flus. I don't get that. My digestion has improved. And I've got vitiligo, and that's starting to fill in. It's a white pigmentation on the skin, so that's starting to heal. And just lots of energy, feeling good, feeling great.
Have you tried DMSO with that at all?
I have some.
Okay.
Yeah, but
maybe like the 3000 protocol?
Probably need to do a little more with that, yeah. And working with other people, I've had ladies with vaginal infections that they've had recurring. They always have to take antibiotics. One session, one round of treatment with MMS got rid of that, and I don't think it's recurred. Another lady with recurring bladder infection cleared up with MMS, Protocol 1000. Worked with a lot of the indigenous people here with just the flu and colds and stuff. If they've had it a while, if it's kind of, they've had it for 4 days or something, it might take them a day or so to get over it. But if I catch it, right when they get it, it's just like they take it that night and it's gone in the morning.
You say here, you mean Ecuador?
In Ecuador.
Okay, not Peru.
Where I live.
Okay.
Let's see, I had one lady with typhoid fever. She did insist on taking the pharmaceutical drugs, but since MMS doesn't interact with that or to cancel that out, she used the MMS with it and, overcame that pretty quickly.
Great.
And she was really sick. It seemed she had it for probably 2 or 3 weeks before she knew she had it. So that was pretty entrenched, but MMS took care of that. I have a lady who had, it sounds like flesh-eating bacteria in the armpit of her dog, and MMS spray and DMSO cleared that right up. A lady with tongue cancer, tongue was really swollen up, completely covered. The tongue had no regular pink color to it. It was all gray and brownish. The entire tongue colored that way, and then with areas that looked like they went pretty deep, like a ½ an inch into the tongue or more, and then covered with all kinds of white, I suppose, candida, thrush kind of stuff on top of that. And we watched it in 2 weeks. We watched it every day change, and in 2 weeks, it was the regular color again, and the dark spots were gone. All the thrush kind of stuff was gone, and it was still a little swollen, but now she can talk better and all that. So she's only 2 weeks into that, so it looks really good.
That's great.
Other things, but those are the main ones.
So keep it up, and you went to the seminar.
The seminar was great.
Now you're gonna probably go start a church with
Started
in Ecuador.
Yep, MMS Church
Right.
in Ecuador, and I encourage everybody to research it, try it. Don't be confused by all the disinformation out there. It is not bleach,
Right.
and we can prove it. But it's simple to use, it's effective, and it's economical.
It's really eye-opening to hear stories like this. Someone feeling healthier, having more energy, and even seeing their skin heal. It makes you wonder why things that seem to help people are so often dismissed or even fought against by medical authorities. Instead of shutting it down, wouldn't it make more sense to study why people are getting these results? So many are just looking for real answers, and stories like this show that there's more to explore. I was amazed to hear another story of a chlorine dioxide healing. A wonderful woman named Laura shared the story of her son, Toby. Toby's journey is nothing short of incredible. At just 2 years old, he was diagnosed with severe autism, scoring over 150 on the ATAC scale. From the moment he was born, life was a challenge. Sleepless nights, constant screaming, fluttering movements, and even epileptic seizures. His family was exhausted, desperate for something that could help him. My wife and I know what it's like to have our children have seizures. Both of our children have had 15-minute-long seizures multiple times. And for us to turn that around and no longer ever see that happen is like a dream come true. And it's truly that horrible moment where you wonder whether you're ever going to see your child come out of it. Imagine 15 minutes and you're holding your child. Arthur, Asher, we've seen it happen with both of them and held them in our arms while they just lay practically lifeless in that moment. Look, it's traumatic for any parent that has gone through that. And we could have resorted out of fear to all the drugs and all the things that conventionally we were told to do, but instead we resorted to natural therapies. And because of this, our boys no longer experience that, and they don't have any long-term consequences from those seizures. After years of searching, Toby's mother came across Dr. Andreas Kalka and found the CDS protocol. With the guidance of George's brother, they decided to start the treatment, and the results were nothing short of amazing. Toby stopped banging his head against the wall. The seizures disappeared. The screaming stopped. Slowly, he began recognizing his family, calling things by name, and even forming sentences. Today, at 7 years old, Toby is nearly fully recovered, a happy child surrounded by friends. His journey wasn't easy, but the progress he has made is nothing short of life-changing. As a father, this story hits home for me. I can't imagine watching my own child struggle like Toby did. If my kids were ever in that position, I'd want to do whatever it took to help him heal. Seeing results in this only strengthens my belief in CDS and what it can do for those who need it the most. This is what drives me, helping families find real solutions, giving children a chance at a better life, making sure no parent has to feel helpless when there are real answers out there. No parent should have to suffer when there's a path to healing, and that's why I do what I do. My drive is to bring a healing revolution that can spread healing to every corner of the earth. With that said, Dr. Andreas Kalka returns again to uncover a critical piece of the puzzle: how chronic illness is deeply connected to mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative stress. His latest research reveals something groundbreaking. Chlorine dioxide isn't just a detoxifier. It actively improves mitochondrial function while reducing oxidative damage. This is a game changer because mitochondria are the energy powerhouses of our cells. When they fail, disease takes over. In fact, a 2017 study published in the Journal of Cancer Treatment and Diagnosis explored the potential of chlorine dioxide as an adjunct to metabolic treatment. The study documented cases where patients with metastatic cancers experienced stabilization and improvement in their conditions after incorporating chlorine dioxide into their treatment regimen. Dr. Kalka also shares real-world evidence from doctors using this approach, proving how effective chlorine dioxide can be for patients with severe health conditions. The mitochondria, does it benefit the mitochondria?
Yeah, definitely. And others from Italy where I've been, and they made research on mitochondria. Actually, it's a very interesting thing. It improves the mitochondrial functions and, hold yourself, reduces oxidative stress at the same time. So it was less oxidative stress than the control group. They couldn't believe it, but it's a fact.
Wow. And that's with the mitochondria.
Mhm.
And amazing. And then people can find the clinic and the resources, the publications on andreaskalker.com, or the research publications.
You find research. Actually, we are here not a clinic. We are just, let's say, a foundation with its own research. I want to make this clear. There are clinics that are working with us. For example, we have a big hospital in Guadalajara where they are working officially on diabetes leg, for example. So there's an interchange. The doctors come here, our doctors go there, they speak with the doctors from the hospital are treating the people, and our doctors are there to write the outcome, like, for example, the clinical outcome, if it works or if it doesn't work, or if the dose is better, higher, technical stuff.
Wow, amazing.
My knowledge is open source for everybody. Open source is, for me, the future. And we need an open source medicine on one hand, and we need the permissions with all these FDAs and USAID, whatever, AID and all this. It's over. It's time. Because they can prohibit it to the doctors, yes, but the people will do it themselves. So I don't care. Because actually, for example, you can do it, and we can prove the efficiency, we can prove the non-toxicity. The patients are in all over the world. For example, there's a very, very nice case from Dr. Aparicio that is prostate cancer, metastatic everywhere, up, down, a value of over 1,700 or something like this. He should go home and die, basically, And he is recovered. We have the data, because academic is like this. You have to prove everything, not just to say something.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
I think the world needs to know, because the world has to wake up.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. And what do you think, Dr. Kalker, is the importance of films like this and resources like the ones that I'm putting out? Like, what do you think is the importance of this?
The importance is that, for example, anyone who does something has to be truthful. Because, let's say, people nowadays, MSNBC, CNN, Clowns News Network, nobody believes anything anymore. There has been a long time. And so if you make a film, the most important thing is the truthfulness and to give hope. Because the easy way to make a film is to shock somebody. Oh, and now we have this and this, and shock, and you don't give a solution. So why do you show me this film? I'm not interested in a non-solution, Oh, we have now the new apparent thing, and this is the biggest danger for mankind. Great. And what you have as a solution? Nothing? No, that's not a film. A film is something where you can say, okay, we have a problem here, and turn the problem around into a challenge. And this is the difference. There's no problem in the world, only challenges. And that's what it is.
Up next, we have Dr. Matt Rayner, a chiropractor and functional medicine expert whose focus is on finding the root cause of diseases instead of just masking symptoms. Dr. Rayner has seen firsthand how conventional medicine overlooks one of the biggest drivers of chronic disease, mitochondrial dysfunction. When your mitochondria, the energy engines of your cells, starts to fail, your body falls into a cycle of fatigue, inflammation, and disease. Dr. Rayner reveals how restoring your mitochondrial function can be the way to better health and complete health. He also shares why so many people are trapped in a constant state of exhaustion and illness, and what it really takes to break free. Up next, we have Dr. Judy Mikovits, a molecular biologist and researcher who has spent decades exposing the dark side of modern medicine. Dr. Mikovits reveals how chronic illness, cancer, and autoimmune diseases aren't just random. They're being triggered by a toxic assault on our bodies. From contaminated medical treatments to environmental poisons, she exposes how the very systems meant to protect us are instead fueling disease. She breaks down the critical role of nutrients, minerals, and immune balance in defending against these threats, and how today's medical industry has systematically removed these key elements from our lives. Dr. Markovits is here to challenge everything we've been told about health, disease, and healing. If you've ever wondered why so many people are getting sicker, this is a conversation you can't afford to miss.
I'm Dr. Matt Rayner, doctor of chiropractic. I own an integrative healthcare clinic in Dallas, Texas, where we have an integrative team that basically goes after the root cause of why people are not feeling well. Background-wise, I was always athletic, always outgoing. I didn't know if I wanted to get into more of the orthopedic surgeon route with all my different sports, but I had different injuries that kind of pushed me through a different path. I always loved biology, biochemistry in undergrad. I thought I wanted to go into like biological sciences and be a lab researcher, but realized that I liked working with people. And so when I got into more of the alternative health field, I still love biochemistry and understanding, the chemistry and nature of how things work. The chiropractic aspect is always still this holistic aspect of looking at the body from what's stressing it, what's lacking, and how to remove or add the things that the body needs, and working with, in harmony with what the body wants. So I think it gives us a very good perspective in terms of a functional approach into health. My mom brought me to the chiropractor as a kid, and again, I was getting migraines, and again, I just, she's like, hey, my chiropractor said that this could help with it. I went in and went from getting like 4 migraines a month to 1 migraine every year. So I noticed it then. So I always had this appreciation. And then, playing different sports growing up at a higher level. I was trying to play and play pro lacrosse, and I had a pretty good quad injury where I had a big pocket of blood in the sheath of the muscle, or the fascia of the muscle. And I was just told, go take blood thinners, take Advil. It's 3 months for that to get gone, and you're going to miss nationals. And I like, well, this is the first time for me going to nationals. I didn't want to miss it. And so my brother had a friend who was a chiropractor. He's home for the summer. He works with one of the NHL hockey teams. He's like, let me connect you with him. So we met like a day after this injury, and I was devastated. I'm going to miss nationals, being told it's 3 months to get back from it. And he's like, I can get you back. We see this all the time. It's not a sit and wait approach. You're going to have to be involved in your health journey, but it might be hard at times. It's going to be, multiple times a day. You're going to have to get this blood and break up this pocket of blood, and it's going to hurt. I'm like, whatever it takes. Within 3 or 4 days, I was riding a bike. A week, I was running 2 miles. In 2 weeks, I was doing sprints. In 3 weeks, I didn't miss a game of nationals. So it made me have this appreciation of this difference between like the orthopedic surgeon versus this, his option. He's a chiropractor. Is, the tools in the toolbox were fundamentally different. And this one made more sense to me of like, hey, look, I'm willing to put in the work. If I can chip away at this and get that back, I want to take full use of it. I asked the doctor at the hospital, like, can you drain it? He's like, oh yeah, I can, but it'll just come back. Which I'm like, okay, whatever. He just told me to take, Advil or aspirin to thin my blood out so I wouldn't get a pulmonary embolism, and that was his only approach. I'm like, well, why can't we combine approaches? And that is a part to me where I started realizing there are some gaps in kind of healthcare. The very first thing, if somebody comes in, they're fatigued and not feeling well, brain fog, depression, is we just listen. We listen to them. We ask them a bunch of questions that may seem very random, but we're just kind of going through and scanning kind of the health of every kind of organ and system in the body. And then from then, it's, every provider might be different in the art of application, but for us, we kind of look at what systems tend to be impacted first and would have trickle down effects on other systems. So a lot of people go right after gut, like, oh, that's 80% of your immune system, which I think is important. That's your nutrient assimilation. So kind of inherently, a lot of functional providers go after gut function, which I think is very critical. For us, we have a very neurologically focused clinic. To us, brain is important. And then to me, I think my biology background, and I love biochemistry, I kind of go more mitochondrial function, because I think mitochondria are in every cell in the body, and when they don't have an easy line to make the energy we need, that's going to be your perception of fatigue. Now, when we go through, we want to look like, is there any chronic inflammation that are stealing resources from the cell that or any chronic infection, those things all have this kind of ability to kind of deplete our body's battery. And again, if we're depleting it by kind of redundant, repetitive kind of insults, then you're going to start to deplete your tolerance and your resources to your environment, and you're going to start seeing that manifest as whether it's fatigue, brain fog, depression. So again, my approach is really just to listen and try to construct a very kind of thorough timeline around our patients' kind of onset of when things start happening. You know, people are like, do you want to see all my labs? Like, yeah, it tells you a story. And if your labs showed this trend and you were trending with those labs, and it may not be off the charts on your labs, but it's this common pattern of certain things going down or going up together. And does that correlate with kind of how you progress? And then for me, what's the most kind of direct and still minimalist way to solve this problem? I want to be very specific and intentionally, hey, what are the 3 biggest things, or, what are the biggest limiting factors for you getting well? Where did you buckle? Where did the system break? And what does that need to kind of recoup? And how do we kind of return that back to optimal function? Functional medicine and functional health, it's a lot of information. I always say, like, we're really good generalists, but we're not specialists in terms of like your cardiologist is a great specialist from a heart standpoint. We're generalists and try to understand how things connect together. So if you do need to see a specialist, we still have that ability to, like, hey, look, this person is going to be a better fit for you. We're the person that's more generalized, trying to connect dots. Hey, there's an inflammatory issue that's having effects on these different systems. The quarterback is the best way to look at it. Like, I like being more the quarterback for their health. If they need a specialist, we still, we'll refer out, but we want to be kind of connecting dots for them and then figure out the best kind of game plan on a whole to get them back together. When it comes to mitochondrial function and health, the older we get, we have less mitochondria in our body. So it's this equation of how do you keep them as efficient as possible and numbers up. Your mitochondria are roughly responsible for 90% of your energy production. So if you take that molecule of glucose and you put it in, you need the mitochondria to get you about 90% of your ATP or energy off of that. So things that slow down mitochondrial function can basically be associated with pretty much every disease process, whether it's cancer, dementia, Parkinson's. So now, what can be insulting or causing the issue is really what functional medicine goes to solve. Whether somebody wants to say it's mitochondria is what they're solving, but if somebody has chronic inflammation, so we have to look at that chronic inflammatory issue causing a constant need of energy to deal with it. So our immune system doesn't work for free. It needs that ATP or energy to run. So there's a lot of studies that show chronic inflammation as the culprit in mitochondrial dysfunction. And so if a virus infects a cell, to replicate itself, it leaves a footprint on the surface that our immune system will see, and it's going to come in and want to destroy that cell and make it part of our lymph system. But that requires energy. So if we look at as this infection, if it doesn't basically go and leave, and it takes more resources to kind of sequester it, then you're going to see that energy bank is going to basically be less for you to do your normal repair, your normal kind of upkeep, your protein synthesis, your cognition, your energy perception. So if every cell in your body is roughly a AA battery of potential energy, and you're always kind of shunting 20, 30, 40% off to deal with a chronic inflammation, chronic infection, then again, at what point of that AA battery being depleted do you feel the symptom or the fatigue? And again, for everybody, it's a little bit different. But that's kind of the aspect when you look at mitochondrial function is how do we, kind of make sure they're optimizing your energy output and what's basically a leach on it. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you have things that are leaching off your energy, that has to be solved. And that could be a chronic infection. That can be chronic inflammation. It could be the foods you eat creating chronic inflammation. It could be nutrient depletion. Again, that can be a gut issue. If you're not absorbing the nutrients well, you're not putting them in. We know like your B1, B2, B3, your B complexes, acetylcholine. There's a lot of nutrients that are really critical. We know certain toxicities like glyphosate toxicity, pesticides can slow down very critical steps inside the mitochondria. We know heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, actinium all slow down various steps inside the mitochondria. We hear it all the time where females are told like, oh, you're anemic, but it's okay, you're a female. It's never normal to be anemic because, again, for you to make optimal energy in the mitochondria, you need oxygen to be present, right? It's like everybody's worked out and felt sore after. That's because you got inefficient at bringing oxygen to the cell. So you made energy, but you weren't super efficient. So you made way more inflammation as a way of just trying to compensate. But again, as you adapt, you get more efficient with oxygen delivery. You don't have that soreness with the workout. But picture being anemic for a year or 2 years. Again, you're going to have impact to the mitochondria. That's why one of my mentors, one of the first things he said about anemia is like they can mimic pretty much everything, whether it's depression, fatigue, because again, every cell in your body needs oxygen to optimally make and support the mitochondrial function. So all those things kind of tie into it. And then you look at a lot of medications people take, very common meds, tend to have negative impacts. Like antibiotics can mess with mitochondria. Cholesterol medications can impact very important steps within the mitochondria. And a lot of times these people are suffering from symptoms and they're on medications that are basically potentially slowing down energy production. And you have to have a conversation about how do we do this in a way that kind of addresses your goal and respects kind of the risk and why you're on that medication.
Cancer. We've heard the talks, of different enders, as we heard from Lee Merritt. People who get Nobel Prizes they've twisted the science to reflect the anti-science, if you will. Christ, Antichrist. What's God? What's Christ? Are you in the world or not of the world? So if somebody's there promoting a poison, if it's in the world and it's not censored, it's not of God. Don't do it. A 2-year-old knows that. A 2-year-old knows that. But a 5-year-old does not. When you cut a chicken's neck off, the heart keeps beating. So we're all chickens running around with our heads cut off. I used to call us 5-year-olds on a soccer field. What do? We all follow the ball. That's not going to help us. And if we go back to that state and keep saying, what is cancer? It's parasite. No, it's not. Everything that is a parasite is creating an inflammatory process, and we can't turn the flame off because we poison with lack of nutrients, minerals, according to the genetic code. In plants, they hold that magnesium. These viruses, these poisons, they're retroviruses. Yeah, we synthesized a lot of them. We made chimeras, meaning a donkey with a horse on it. That's sterile. A donkey is sterile. You don't mate certain things in nature. Well, we could graft when we used to graft plants and grow on plants, but things won't graft. They won't graft. And so that's why it's infection by injection. These bioweapons don't go in your bodies. They don't. They had to be injected. And that was my work since 1992. The only time I went to that satanic meeting in Cold Spring Harbor, New York, that controlled how, any scientist, the cult of scientism, would drive the non-canonical. Ooh, what's the canon? Ooh, a religion, a philosophy. What is my degree? I'm a PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy. So where I get my education is Thomas Jefferson in the University of Virginia, Botanical, our founding fathers. Nothing happened in Charlottesville other than to try and take out the nature that our God taught us and somehow make Charlottesville evil. It's a psyop. It's a lie. So when you see this satanic cult called scientism, it's non-canonical. So all you have to do is read the pathways that God gave us and the pathways of the poisonous satanic cult, a religion. It's an ideology. It has nothing to do with science because science is not and never will be medicine. You practice. I am not a virologist. My PhD is in biochemistry and molecular biology. My undergraduate degree, which I got at University of Virginia from 1976 to 1980, the reason my Bachelor of Arts in chemistry with a specialization in biology is because there was no language of biochemistry, and there was no technology to investigate it. It's a language, as Dr. David Mark tells us. His PhD is in linguistics. We've changed the letters, we've changed the names, we've simply called multiple sclerosis or myalgic encephalomyelitis, or now it's as dumb as chronic Lyme disease. No, didn't come from a tick and didn't come from Borrelia. Yes, they injected those weaponized things in our cows, in our pigs, in our plants, and we ate them. And in our humans, there's cow serum, pig serum, human serum, aborted fetal tissue. There's DNA, RNA, protein from everywhere. Look how good our God is. And even worse, the mask. What causes cancer? A mask. A mask. Rob oxygen, only 2 breaths. HIF-1 alpha, hypoxia-inducible factor 1 alpha. That's your nose and your mouth. You have beta gamma, you have hypoxia factor, sensor in every place of your body, because when oxygen's not there, it won't go well for you, and you can develop disease. You don't attack yourself. There's no such thing as autoimmunity. You're being poisoned because self and non-self is an individual. This is a diversity problem. Yeah, it's DEI, because we've lost the diversity of our microbiome everywhere in our body. We poisoned it. Mouthwash in your mouth, gut up and down. All this, you don't digest in your stomach. You don't have teeth in your stomach. Stop drinking proteins. That's why I show Cardio Miracle as living water. That is plants lyophilized, freeze-dried in various, one's an alkalinity blend, one's an antioxidant blend, and it's like just a touch of this and just a pinch of this. And it was a download straight from God to John Hewlett. There are no calories in that. You don't count calories, you count chemicals. Calories are unit of heat. What we do. We don't metabolize. You digest here, chew your food. We metabolize every instant on down. Metabolize is just charge, ions from plants according to nature in 3D in shape, and you can't see them. You can't see them, and you won't see them, because that's what a molecular biologist does. So it took 12 years to get a molecular biology degree and a degree in biochemistry, my PhD. But in those 12 years, we refined the language together with the people at George Washington University. The head of the department was Alan Goldstein. His expertise was thymosin alpha-1 peptides that heal. And we knew that, and we were talking to each other. The students and the mentors work together. When we can have a conversation and we don't just dictate a memorization. A master's degree is as a memorization of an ideology they told you. And so is an MD. And so is a chiropractic degree, and so is a naturopathic degree. Well, our God gave us the ability to use technologies in order to advance human happiness for good following Jesus. The Amish are no more right than we are. No, when do you decide when to stop God? Oh, the wheel was not an invention or a discovery of man, and a translation of that discovery into something that could be used as a tool. That's what we're doing right now, because, God is discovery. Invention is man translating that discovery. Medicine is translating science. And the easiest example I can give you is airplanes, gravity. But that didn't translate molecular biology from the DNA, from the code, to the transcription, to the translation. The translation takes fine-tuning and orchestration of orchestration. You need a conductor for the orchestra. Well, we've taken out each individual component of the orchestra. So the translation was the Wright brothers, just to get a plane in the air, But then as we developed things like lighter and lighter materials, graphene oxide, we could conduct energy in different ways. But it was used for evil because it was used by this cult called scientism that has overtaken our whole world. And the fear is paralyzing to go against a white coat, and I just don't understand it. All somebody has to say is cancer, and people stop living and say, I have no hope if I don't qualify. I failed a clinical trial. Don't own it. You didn't fail anything at all. And there's no such thing as a city of hope. It was in the beginning when they had honest people doing the right thing, like Art Riggs in the beginning of City of Hope in LA or outside of LA. We did that epigenetics work in the 2000s. But your government didn't allow small business to exist, and they destroyed epigenetics pharmaceuticals with 911. Oh, let's just tack on a little anthrax so we can bring back a program that, honest senators and congressmen said, no, we're not going to do that. Release a little anthrax, kill an honest doctor, murder him, call it suicide. All I need to say is Bruce Ivins. All I need to say is Timothy Cunningham. All I need to say is Jeff Bradstreet, and on and on and on. And those people have been murdered and silenced. And we, the people, the most important thing to do is speak the truth in love, because silence equals death. Your immune system cannot remain silent. Yes, we need to silence the poisons and enhance the ability to heal. And that's the ability to heal is yours. But it starts here. This is the sexual organ. This is the fear porn. Nobody's sober. I am. And I'm considered to be an alcoholic. Winston Churchill. Well, madam, you're ugly. I may well be a drunk, but tomorrow I'll be sober. And you'll still be ugly. So it's at the level of the heart, but that's true. We've lost the terms in our immune system, the terms, the description, what are purines and what are pyrimidines? Well, they're the names we gave to God-given nutrients we don't get anymore. Caffeine. You don't decaffeinate and use chemicals and other things to pull out that biological response modifier that comes in all of nature. Teas are not caffeine. They're theobromine. They look the same, but they're not the same. So we all started speaking a language where we had no basis in understanding. And we all just spit out stupid terms and mimic commercials and dance about it. And we're the fools. Better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Abraham Lincoln. That's the point is that at the heart of our soul, we've got to express the truth in love, and we've got to forgive ourselves and each other, or these cancers will continue in our society and in our individual beings. We will destroy ourselves.
Up next, we have Dr. Adele Pelteret, a naturopath who has spent years uncovering the hidden connections between your gut health, inflammation, and chronic disease. Dr. Pelteret reveals how many health conditions can be traced back to your gut and lymphatic system. Yet conventional medicine rarely addresses these root causes, leaving people stuck in a cycle of medications that never truly heal. She explains how toxins, poor diet, and even stress damage the gut lining, leading to widespread inflammation that can affect your entire body. I recently read a study that discussed the role that gut bacteria, like Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, which is known for its anti-inflammatory properties, can have in maintaining your gut health. Lower levels of this bacterium have been associated with conditions such as Crohn's disease and obesity. If you've been struggling with unexplained symptoms or feeling like your body is constantly working against you, Dr. Pelteret's insights could give you the answers that you've been searching for. To end off this episode, we're joined with Dr. Soima Sridharan, a doctor who refuses to accept the mainstream idea that disease happens for no reason. She's worked with countless patients who were dismissed, told that their symptoms were unexplained, or left without answers. But Dr. Sridharan has found that chronic illness is never random and that there's always a cause, whether it's toxins, hidden infections, or past medical interventions. The body isn't attacking itself, it's reacting to something. By uncovering these hidden triggers, she's helped patients regain their health when conventional medicine offered them nothing.
Hi, my name is Dr. Adele Peltrit. I'm a naturopath. I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I went into naturopathy or started studying naturopathy in my mid to late 40s because I didn't really have an option to study before that. I was a nutritional therapist before that, which was an overseas training, because in South Africa, we do have naturopathy training, but it was a full-time double master's degree, basically double degree. So it was very difficult for me to take off with young children to actually do that training. So I originally started training online as a nutritional therapist, and I worked as a nutritional therapist for about 15 years here in South Africa. And then in my 40s, went back to university full time when my children were sort of primary school, middle school age. And my husband was the main motivator in me going back to university at that age. So without his support, I would never have managed, because he literally took over everything in looking after the children and shopping, cooking, taking them to school backwards and forwards, etc. And then I applied and I got in, and it was a 5-year, very long 5 years of studies full time, into university at 7 a.m, back at 7 p.m, quickly eat some supper, and then actually go back to my studies till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And that took 5 years, and it was amazing. I mean, the main reason, and there's always a personal reason behind most practitioners that I speak to, that they've had some kind of issue with either their own health or a loved one's health that ended up starting the process of looking into researching and actually doing some additional studies. And for me, it was more some of my own personal experience with gut health issues from my teens into my 20s, IBS and a variety of things, and just being almost disregarded by the conventional allopathic medicine doctors as, you got to live with it. It's not something that we can really do anything about, or we don't really know much about it, or they don't even admit that they don't know much about it, but often would just say, well, it's just something you have to live with. So my journey really started in my late teens and 20s with my digestive issues, and starting to research and read up a little bit on that. I'm also was a qualified teacher, and understanding that, how stress was involved. And that was quite a learning experience for me as well. And when my daughters were born, they both had various health issues, my older one with eczema and my younger one with a severe lactose intolerance from my breast milk. So breastfeeding for her, she ended up losing a huge amount of weight. The vagus nerve is one of the most fascinating nerves. It's called cranial nerve number 10, which means it should be part of the head in the cranium, but it actually wanders through the rest of the body. And I find it quite amazing that it starts behind the ear, and we can actually access the most sort of superficial part of the vagus nerve in the actual ear itself, and just behind the ear and down the side of the neck as well. So we can get some superficial access, or what we call transcutaneous, through the skin, access to the vagus nerve that way. But I also find that, the vagus nerve innervates so many parts of the body. Your esophagus, your lungs, your alveoli, every single alveoli, those little grape-like structures in your lungs that are wrapped around by the vagus nerve as well. Your diaphragm has got the vagus nerve wrapped around it. Your intestines, your liver, your gallbladder, your stomach, there is just everything within the abdomen is connected to the vagus nerve. When I first learned about it about 20 years ago, the information at that time was saying that sort of 20% of what the body's experience is going up to the brain and tells the brain about the vagus nerve, and about 80% from the brain to the body. And over the last 20 years, that percentage has slowly changed to the other way around, actually. It's 80% from the gut to the brain, or the information from the body up to the brain, traveling along that vagus nerve. So we can get all this information that's going on within the body affecting what's going on in the brain as well. So we do find a lot of patients with, for example, a traumatic brain injury, or even just as a fender bender, where they've had a bit of a knock to the head, or a fall of some kind of accident. That injury has a huge impact on the gut, and why. So this connection between the gut and the brain via the vagus nerve, for me, is just fascinating. And the impact that we have on just breathing differently. So we can actually change the tone of our vagus nerve by breathing differently. So taking a deep breath in, and that pause between the out breath and the in-breath, that can be helped to retone the vagus nerve. I also suggest to my patients to do some gargling, to do humming and singing, which we often don't do out loud anymore much, unless we sort of go to a church and we sing in a choir or something like that. Most people don't sort of sing out loud that often. And that singing and the humming and the gargling, that sound around the throat area and around the vagus nerve, I find also a fantastic way to help tone that nerve as well. And, combination of different things, just being out in nature, and gratitude and awe of what's around you and what is the creation in a way, that can help to tone your vagus nerve as well. So your thought processes and there's physical stuff as well that can support the vagus nerve. And if the gut's not happy, that inflammatory response within the gut can send those inflammatory signals via the vagus nerve to the brain. So we end up with this mildly inflamed brain, which can lead to things like anxiety or panic attacks or depression or mood-related things that if we address the vagus nerve and that tone and support that, that's one of the pieces in the puzzle in helping that patient to recover or to get healthier or feel more optimally vital within their own body. I teach my patients how to do their own vagus nerve stimulation, or we can actually just do it manually as well with a bit of massage and various, using your fingertips, etc. So, and the vagus and the lymphatics, they're all up here. Because of my neck injuries, I tend to really have focused and done a lot more research on the cervical spine and these muscles around the neck and shoulder areas. The lymphatics here are just phenomenal, and then the vagus nerve here as well. So it just makes sense that all of this is happening here. We need to really look after our throats and our neck and our shoulders as well. The lymphatic system is actually not well discussed or not spoken about often in a normal medical practice. Often cancer patients will go for, if they've had any surgery, or other patients have had surgery and have had to have lymphatics removed, that's the only time really that they hear about it. And the doctor might recommend having some MLD, which is manual lymphatic drainage, from a professional lymphatic drainage specialist or a person who has been trained in that, because they'll often get puffy and swollen in certain areas. So we'll get an edema of some kind, whether it's something subtle, like I've got one patient, she tends to get quite puffy in her face when she wakes up in the morning, for example. So just getting a basic massage techniques to try and help drain those lymphatics for her. So there could be structural components that are blocking the lymphatic system. And think of it like your circulatory system with blood, but it runs in tandem with your blood vessels. So it's all over the body, exactly the same as your blood vessel system. It's got these little bulbs or nodes where there's an accumulation. And we've got white cells, specifically the lymphocytes. That's why they're called lymphocytes. They're masses within those. And so there's a definite strong component with our lymphatic system and our immune system as well. So it's always been a surprise for me that most doctors don't even mention it. So our immune system and our lymphatic system are helping to protect us from infections. They also destroy old cells or cells that have been, or abnormal cells, for example. And that's why we often hear about the lymphatics in a patient who has got cancer or had cancer. And they know about the lymphatic system because that's often where those mutated cells or abnormal cells have manifested, or there's a way of actually, moving and transporting those through the body. There's also a strong connection with your absorption of your fats and lipids from your gut. So when you eat fats, you are not going straight into the bloodstream. They actually go into those little chylomicrons and all those little fat globules that are wrapped in other things. They go through into the lymphatic system first before they get into the bloodstream, which I don't think a lot of people know. So fats definitely don't go directly into the blood system or into the circulatory system. So they are fluids that are passing information or contents from the bloodstream into the lymphatics, and the lymphatics also can then allow certain chemicals into the bloodstream. They help to absorb fats, like I said, and then they protect our bodies against invaders as well. And there's about 20 liters of plasma. Our bodies make about 20 liters of plasma in liquid, that liquid part of your blood. And these flow through these little tiny pores, these thin, and your little capillaries, which are the very last little bit of your blood system. And they sort of absorb it almost a bit like a sponge. Gets absorbed into the lymphatic system that way. So we get this movement of blood from blood into the lymphatics and vice versa as well. So the lymphatics are fascinating. So if somebody is struggling with, puffy ankles or feet, or if they're getting puffy face in the morning, they've got or had surgery and they've had lymphatics destroyed or lymphatic nodes cut out or removed, that flow of lymph is not going to be optimal. And the massaging and the support for that is very useful for that patient. So whether it's strapping them up with a bandage or using compression stockings to help with that edema and support those lymphatics, whether it's elevation, whether it's the massage, etc., whether it's just recommending that somebody bounces on a little mini trampoline for 10 minutes a day, or just going for a walk and getting outside, and just a bit of gentle movement can help get the lymphatics working. So the same with our blood that's coming up from our feet, for example. So I'm saying to my patients, the veins are sending the blood back to the heart, but there's no heart in the foot to pump that blood back. So we've got this movement from the heart downwards, and then we've got these little capillaries and then these veins pushing the blood back up. We've got these one-way valves helping that blood to get back up to the heart. The same with the lymphatics. We've got the various muscles which help to pump the lymphatic fluid around our body. So we've got to do a bit of movement in order for the lymphatics to work properly.
One of the things that I do in my practice is we take really detailed history. Just like for today, it was raining outside. And if I told you today that, we don't really know why it rains, it just rains, you kind of would think that that's kind of insane, because with all the science that we have, we know why something happens. And it is true for disease too, right? There is no such thing as no reason. An unknown cause, idiopathic, is one of the most commonest words used in conventional medicine for all autoimmune diseases, for all, like autism. And I still think that autism is an autoimmune disease. I truly believe that, and I see it in action. I always treat it that way, as if like your own body is attacking the brain because there are toxins in the brain. And that's how I actually see it to be. And that's how I always treat it too. Even though nobody really calls it an autoimmune disease, I call it that. And I've been calling it for a long time that, because it behaves like one. So in these kinds of cases, always there is a cause. So my job as a doctor is to find that, so that we can not only alleviate the symptoms, but we really will be able to eliminate the cause. And in Rebecca's case, one of the most important causes was her cadaver gum graft that caused her lymphoma and her psoriasis. So if we didn't find it out, we would always be on this, hunt for finding it. And she'll keep having other problems until we find the root cause. And that's what I've learned through all these years. So in autism too, there's a reason for why it's happening. So when I'm taking extensive history, I'm always trying to draw a timeline and see what happened. Boom, when did this happen? And then we actually find out that, okay, so this child was perfectly normal. The child was talking. They started talking, walking, had proper milestones and everything. And then boom, the child stopped talking and started regressing. See, that's actually a very easy way of understanding, right? For example, if let's say that you're walking and you actually get hurt on your leg and now you can't walk, would you say that that injury caused you to not walk? Or would you say, no, I don't really know why I actually can't walk. I just can't walk anymore. How insane would that be to say? And that's exactly what people are told. They are actually not even validated for what they are experiencing. The patient comes and says that I had this and this happened. And many of these parents have been invalidated so many times that when they come to me by that point in time, they don't even bring it up. I ask them, I'm like, okay, tell me the timeline. Let's draw the timeline. Let me tell you what happened. How were the milestones at this point in time? When did you notice it first? And then when I actually say it, they're like, wow, so it is because of the vaccine. And many a times it is. So 90 to 95% of the children with autism in my practice have been vaccine injured. One of the things that we do is that when we obviously identify these causes, we go and actually treat it, because that's the whole point of it, right? So again, as I mentioned before, I treat it like an autoimmune condition. So which means that the body is attacking itself as a result of this injury. Okay, so, and this injury, the vaccine, whatever it brought in, dependent on the type of vaccine it is, it's actually going and settling in some part of the body, because that's the way it works. Whatever we put in here, it's going somewhere in the body, right? So if let's say in this child, the blood-brain barrier is open or not really completely closed, then things actually go into the brain and settles down. Then the immune system's job is to look around and say, hey, this is not supposed to be here. And then it tries to remove it. But many a times, heavy metals and things like that, even plastic for that matter, like in today's world, plastic is one of the most or the biggest problem that I would say we have. And I'm seeing it all across the board, from children with autism to menopause to cancers to endometriosis. It's a huge problem. We have a hormonal dominance problem coming from plastics. Okay, but these kinds of things go and literally bind themselves to our tissues. They become a part of our organ. Now the body can't remove it. So what it has to do is literally attack that organ to remove the things that shouldn't be in there. And then we are actually upset that the body is attacking itself. No, it's not really lost its intelligence in attacking itself. It's attacking the parts that actually has things that shouldn't be in there. And if we remove those parts for the body, then the body doesn't have to attack itself. But the most important thing that I've actually learned over the years is that our body is extremely resilient. It's amazing. I mean, of course, nowadays we have a warfare going against the human body for sure. So which means it actually makes it harder and harder than ever before. Every year it actually seems to get harder than it was before. But still, I would say that the body is resilient and the body is still actually healing from all kinds of things, because I have a patient who is supposed to be here today to do it, but because of Ganesha's birthday, he couldn't be here. But a young high school student who developed Crohn's, but we were able to reverse it. And he is on no more drugs, nothing. His colonoscopy is perfect. Everything is looking great. So again, the body is capable of healing. Another girl that I'm actually treating right now with Crohn's as well. And her fecal calprotectin, which is one of the markers for it, was over 10,000, which is super high. And now hers was like 700 within 4 months of treatment. So we are seeing that the body can change. And in all of these cases, diet is a huge part, because if there is inflammation going on, then you can't actually assuage inflammation as long as you're putting things that are inflammatory, right? So things, as Gina was saying, things that you can read. You should know what you're actually putting in your body. If it doesn't have a label, even better. Right? You shouldn't have a label, because eggplants don't come with a label. Tomatoes don't come with a label. Everybody knows what they are. Even a child knows what it is. So trying to put those wholesome foods into our body makes a huge difference in changing all of these things. So total body modification is a technique. It was actually founded by a chiropractor when he realized that a lot of times, like for example, even allergies and things like that, the way it works is that the nervous system or the brain now has a message that this specific virus or bacteria or the allergen, it's not even an allergen, sometimes it's just food or just pollen. And now the brain actually recognizes it as a poison instead of as food or as pollen or as virus or bacteria. It recognizes it as a poison. And when it recognizes it as a poison, now the body, every time it's exposed to it, reacts violently. And that's when it's like hives and things like that. Many a times vaccines contribute to this because vaccines have food proteins in them. And these food proteins, once they enter the bloodstream, it makes us produce antibodies against it. And now the food or whatever that is, that the same kind of protein enters any part of that body, the body reacts to it. So now we need to tell the brain that, hey, this is just food or this is just pollen. Do not react violently. So just like Nambudripad or Nate, what people do is they actually hold a vial of that and then we correct the nervous system. We correct the spinal cord. We actually change the message that's going into their brain. And in turn, change the message that's going from the brain to the immune system. And in turn, change the reaction that comes out of it. So for total body modification, it can be a certain number of sessions. So one of the other things that I use in my practice is muscle testing. Okay, muscle testing is one of the things that we use to identify what a person needs, because I meet a person for 1 hour, okay, for my first consultation. That's usually my consultation, how long that is. In that 1 hour, I can't know their entire life. I can't know them entirely either. So even though we collect good amount of history and everything, there is something very specific, unique about that person that I may or may not be able to identify by just talking to them. Just like Rebecca, like I didn't know about her gums until months later. And I kept treating her liver because her body kept saying it was her liver. And I kept treating her liver. Nothing happened with her eyes. Her lymphoma did not get better. And I was getting frustrated with it first. I was like, I'm doing something wrong. It's my limitation again. I am doing something wrong here. That's the reason why we use these techniques and technology that we have. Then we use regulation thermography and to see. I said, you know what? I've actually done all of the things, but I can't, if I don't know, I can't ask intelligent questions to the body. If I don't ask intelligent questions, I can't get intelligent answers back. So muscle testing is limited to the kind of questions I ask. If I'm limited to the questions I ask, the answer is going to be, which is what happened with her. So I was getting limited answers. I kept getting that it was her liver, but I never asked the question, why the liver? Because treating the liver wasn't working. It wasn't getting better. If I had asked that intelligent question, then I would have found out that it was from the gums. But I never asked that question until the thermography. Once we had the thermography and her, mouth was lit up like a Christmas tree, then it was like, wow, okay, now we use muscle testing and say, so is the liver acting up and the lymphoma is coming in her eye because of the gums? Yes. Okay, now let's treat the gums. And we treat the gums, the lymphoma goes away. With the TBM too, we actually look for that. First, we do muscle testing and see, is this even patient going to significantly improve with TBM? Because see, not every technique is right for every single person. And so that's a very important aspect of it. I almost always test and see if I can first help this patient. Do I have everything in order for me to help this patient when I take a patient on? Because if I don't have it, I need to refer the patient out. And again, these are all things that I've learned over a period of time. It's not like, I knew this first. I didn't. So I had to ask these kinds of questions, learn how to use muscle testing more appropriately as well. So if the patient is going to get significant improvement through TBM, then we actually ask the question, how many sessions do they need? What are all the things that we actually have to do? And once we have it, then there are certain kinds of corrections you do for each of these things. And for some patients, it's 1 session, 2 sessions, 5 sessions. It depends on what they need.
As we wrap up this episode, the evidence is crystal clear. Chronic inflammation is not the inevitable result of aging or genetics. It's a condition designed to keep us sick, dependent, and trapped in a cycle of medications and treatments that never address the root cause. Breaking free from chronic inflammation isn't just a possibility, it's a necessity. The real path to healing lies in making choices that actually address the root causes of inflammation. It starts with what we put into our bodies, how we manage our environment, and understanding that healing is a process of restoring balance, not masking symptoms. By focusing on nutrition, detoxification, and supporting our mitochondrial health, we begin to dismantle the damage done over time, empowering ourselves to reclaim true wellness. The experts in this episode have shown us that chronic inflammation isn't a random or inevitable phenomenon. It's a condition that can be reversed. From the groundbreaking work of Andrea Caprio in nutrition to Dr. Yaikos's insights on heart disease and Dr. Mikovits's exposure of the systematic poisons in our medical system, it's clear the truth is out there and it's time to take control. This is just the beginning of our revolution. Keep tuning in because change is coming. Hey there, it's Jonathan. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed creating it for you. I'm thrilled that we are able to offer you such amazing tools and resources. Remember that we have an exclusive special offering so you can get all the 12 episodes, the 12 bonus episodes, the 60 full-length interviews, the printed transcripts of this series, the USB flash drive with the episodes, and so much more, as well as our amazing masterclasses. You can read all about them. And we've got, of course, our special 8 supplements, the 60-day Restore, Revive, and Thrive supplement protocol. It's here for you. Read all about it. We've got the amazing red light therapy belt with red and near-infrared at 660 and 850. And yes, they will activate those supplements in your body. Most importantly, those specific healing herbs, nutrients, minerals are going to be activated in your body, in your essential organs. They're going to be amazing for your mitochondrial health. You can really solve arguably anything in your body when you harness the power of your mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cells. Once your cells have the voltage, the power they need, they can go about the healing and performing all the functions that you are so desperately wanting. And it's the mechanism that you're tapping into by using this tool and these therapies in combination. So grab it here on this page while it's available. You're getting these as amazing free gifts, over $4,800 worth of free gifts, and so much more, including a one-on-one consultation that's a free gift from us to you, as well as our amazing masterclasses. Grab it here on this page while stocks last. We've got a lot of people tuned in and watching this, and the results that we're seeing on this red light therapy belt and the supplement protocol are absolutely amazing. You're going to continue to see those throughout this series, and I look forward to seeing the transformation that you get in your life when you get this program, when you place your order here on this page, which you can do right now while this is available, which will only be here for a very short time. So make sure to grab it here.